Hey, this is David, and welcome to Brass Call. Today we're going to talk about the framework of the Second Amendment as it relates to gun control. And we've got some pictures today from a man named Oleg Volk, which would be, I guess, the Revolutionary War equivalent of Thomas Paine if Thomas Paine worked with photography and pictures, right? Visual media. All right? So, it seems like the Wednesday shows, the hour-long shows where we've been talking about actual tactics and techniques are working real good. And so I think I would talk about the mindset stuff on the 15-minute Sunday segments, okay? And as always, if you like this stuff, you can always catch us online at www.tngun.com, okay? So we're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence first, because the Declaration was our country's founders' statement, the statement of freedom and what we stand for. Okay, now, the Declaration of Independence, courts have long held that it doesn't really have any legal authority, but it does kind of clarify things. And one of the things that it says is, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure those rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the government. Okay? And whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. Okay? And so what that means is, our founders were deists. They didn't necessarily believe in a Christian God or a Jewish God or an Islamic God, but they did believe that there was a God, a higher power that created us, and that God gave us certain rights. And because of that, we ended up with the Bill of Rights, the original amendments to the Constitution, because when they wrote the Constitution, they thought that it should go unstated, that everybody knew that God gave us certain rights, and they didn't need to write it down. Well, some very smart individuals said, you know, we believe this, we know this to be true, but who knows what people will believe in the future. And so let's go ahead and write these rights down, right? And so in order to get the Constitution ratified, right, they had to write down these rights that were given to us by our Creator, right? And so I think, in my humble opinion, I think that's one of the reasons that there's such a push in the liberal world to get rid of God. Because if God gave us our rights and there is no God, then we don't have inalienable rights. Okay, now that's just my opinion, and if you don't believe in God, I'm not, angry with you. That's your decision, okay? But that's my take on it. All right, now. They didn't write the Bill of Rights in any particular order. One isn't more important than 10, okay? But they did write it down by their frame of mind, okay? The first thing that they wanted was the freedom of people to assemble, to ask for redress of grievances, freedom to worship as they so choose. The second one is, about the right of the people to have the tools and techniques, the ability to form new governments when the government becomes destructive to, its job of protecting the people, okay? And so the text of the Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, meaning the things inside those commas are they help explain, right? But they're not necessary. You could just say a well-regulated militia means that the right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. Okay, but they said a well-regulated militia being necessity to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, infringed means, if I come in and I turn my radio up and it's keeping you from enjoying the things going on in your house, I've infringed on your rights. That's any kind of pushing against your rights, right? So if you want to interpret it the way I interpret it, it says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Everything else just kind of explains why. But if you look at militia, at the time of the Constitution, every voting person, right? Everybody with a right to vote in the country, the colonies in the Confederate States, in the United States, were by law members of the militia, meaning at the time only males 18 to majority age could vote. Therefore, they were in the militia. They had a stake in the country, and so they had a stake in protecting their rights. Right? Matter of fact, the militia law at the time said that all adult males 18 to 45 would have a rifle, a military arm, not a musket, not a hunting gun, but a military rifle and 200 rounds of ammunition and gear, and be ready for muster. Right? And the only exception to that would be preachers on Sundays. Right? They meant military firepower, right? And at the time, there was a difference between military black powder rifles and hunting black powder rifles, right? Battle of Lexington was about securing that armory, the military guns, right? Now, a lot of folks will tell you when they wrote the Constitution, they were not able to foresee the type of technology, right, that we have today, that semi-automatic weapons, fully automatic weapons, fixed cartridges, all those things were not, considered, right? Well, I would say to those people that at the time that they wrote the Constitution, we didn't have iPads, iPhones, microwave transmitters, RFID, all the different ways of reaching out and communicating ideas, right? Now, you want to go on Twitter and you tweet something. It goes out to hundreds of thousands of people, potentially millions of people with one action, right? If you've got a rifle, I don't care what kind of rifle it is, it's still one manipulation of the trigger, one bullet, one target, right? Same thing with a muzzleloader. Pull the trigger one time, sends out one bullet, right? It hits one person. Which one of those is more technologically advanced? One stroke of a button, sending out ideas to millions of people. One stroke of a button, send one bullet out to one target, right? So, when they talk about technological advances, and it should limit this thing but not this, then that's false. It's just a false statement, and it just shows that the people are willing to lie to get what they want. And why do we want to control guns? Why is the government so adamant against controlling guns? I would just say, if somebody's afraid of me, they probably don't want me to have any kind of weapons, right? And so that makes me wonder, why is the government afraid? Is the government afraid of us armed citizens? Okay? Are they wanting to be destructive to the ends of our inalienable rights? Right? Are they wanting to keep us from having our life, liberty, and our pursuit of happiness? Okay? I don't know. But I know that in the Declaration of Independence it says prudence will dictate that governments that have long been established should not be changed for light transient causes. Right? And that people are more disposed to suffer as long as evils are sufferable than to fight, right? To go through change and chaos in order to abolish the current government and going to a new government, right? But it also says, when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is your right, your duty, to get rid of that government and to provide new safeguards for your future security, right? And then the Declaration of Independence comes out and it says, these are the things that the king has done, right? And, a lot of the things that are in the Declaration of Independence are happening today. Maybe that's the reason that they're so adamant about gun control. And picking out weapons that, are military in scope, right? That are martial, which is the whole reason for the Second Amendment. The martial weapons. They're not talking about hunting. Hunting was, that was just something, you wouldn't take away somebody's hunting gun. They were talking about, militia weapons. And as a matter of fact, the weapons of the American Revolution, the artillery pieces, the cannons, those were all civilian owned, right? We lose sight of that. It just amazes me, how people want to take away the guns. And OODA loop, observe, orientate, decide, act, right? It's a decision-making process. We all observe that there's this push toward lessening freedoms, right? We've all observed that Biden is now the head of a new committee to explore gun control. We've all observed the Feinstein bill, where they want to basically enhance the old assault weapons bill, but then add to where you cannot transfer those guns, meaning that you have the gun, it's grandfathered constitutionally, they can't take it away from you, with the ex post facto law, but they can prevent you from passing it on to your children, right? So when the ARs, that are in the stock now, those owners die, they're gone, right? Why are they doing that? So we can all observe that. So then we have to orientate ourselves. Is it because they're afraid of a coming revolution? Is it because they're ignorance of the facts about guns and their use? What is their reason for pushing this, right? We have to all determine that for ourselves. And then we have to decide what we're going to do. And we look, the day that they mentioned that there might be a new gun control bill, what happened? Internet retailers of magazines sold out 4 years worth of magazines in 40 minutes, right? Prices of ARs have skyrocketed while becoming virtually unobtainable, right? People are going out and buying all these guns and ammo and accessories, right? That is entirely possible that they're going to lose. Why is that? What are they choosing to do? Are they doing it because of black market? Are they doing it because, they want to ensure that they've got it so they can shoot? Or are they doing it because they're preparing for a new Declaration of Independence? I don't know. And that's something that you're going to have to decide, for yourself. But, I know that I swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I've done it several times, right? And I do believe that my God created me with rights, right? And among those rights are, not just life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, but the ability and the duty to fight, to protect those things given to me, and to protect those rights for people who cannot fight, right? I understand that the Second Amendment, what it means. And I understand that if you start picking and choosing what you like, if you don't like homosexuality but you want to pass laws against it, right? I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying, whatever. But if we don't like something, so we allow that right to be taken away from somebody, then you can't pick and choose. So we let them get rid of the second. But we want to keep the first, it won't be too long before they start going after the first, right? If we let them start picking off this type of gun because it looks bad, they get that, then the next thing you know, they go to the next, right? We have to band together. Guns are, they're inanimate objects, right? And we can't pick and choose what we like. We have to band together based upon what is the same and not as what's different. I don't know. I could talk about this all day, but to tell you the truth, I'm kind of tired of talking about it. I don't understand why they don't get it. That we believe what we believe, they believe what they believe. We don't try to force anybody to come to our viewpoints, but we're not going to tolerate people trying to force us to come to their viewpoints, right? We don't have to agree, but we do have to get along. And if somebody does not want to get along, well, then we'll deal with that. But anyway, you can always find me online, www.tngun.com. Appreciate it.